Welcome to Ouch. Was that a ghost? This podcast may contain graphic material, which some listeners may find disturbing. Listener discretion is advised.
Help me.
Now that we covered that, here's your host, Liz.
Welcome back to Ouch, Was That a Ghost? Back again is Twistifer from Twisted Tales because, like I say all the time, I'm too nervous to record by myself. So thank you for coming back on, Christopher.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
We've been doing a lot of true crime when we have been potting together lately. So I figured we should switch it up and do a haunting.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
So this takes place in northern Kentucky at 44 Fitzpatrick Road. There sat Bobby Mackey's Music World, often called the most haunted nightclub in America.
Oh. Is this like before KFC or after KFC was built?
This was the building itself. When was KFC built?
I don't know. You're supposed to know these things. That's why I'm here.
I'm not a big KFC eater. If I do, I used to like KFC before because they used to have corn in the cob.
Oh, really?
And it like literally had a stick on the end and it was awesome. And they used to have the best coleslaw.
Coleslaw junk.
But then they changed their coleslaw, which into like trash now.
Trash law.
And now they just have like, it tastes like canned corn. Like, who wants that? If I'm going to have corn, I want corn on the cob.
Well, yeah. Nobody wants cream corn.
Cream corn? Ugh, that's a throwback. Yuck. The stuff I ate when I was a kid.
Good times.
We were talking about this the other day. I'm sorry. I'll get back to the story in 1 second. But when I was a kid growing up, we always used to like fight each other to lick the cake bowls or the brownie bowls. And they definitely had raw eggs in them.
Well, yeah.
And our parents were just like, sure, go ahead, have at it. Like, how gross is that?
It's not really gross. It's mixed with other things, I guess, but I get it. It's like you're getting your chocolate fix. But I mean,
But raw flour, raw eggs, that's not good to eat.
no. Nobody ever said it was, but I mean, we did it.
And it was good.
Whatever. We drank from hoses and stuff, you know.
That first warm little, until the cold one started coming in. Ugh.
Gross.
Taste that plastic. All right, so the building has changed names over the years. The property is known for its long history of mafia, music, and murder. Dun dun. Moida. Which the building itself, the property has had many paranormal claims over the years.
Mm.
Before, it was Bob Mackey's Music World, way before, in the 1800s. The land was said to have been the site of a slaughterhouse. This was in the 1800s. I think I already said that, but we'll repeat that. And the basement had like this drain or well where the drained blood would be poured into. It was like an animal blood runoff thing.
Yeah.
And it would go down and go meet the river. This now has been also referred to as Hell's Gate.
Okay.
Which, I mean, its name implies it's a portal for spirits or a portal straight to hell. And many investigators that visit that same well now claim to have experienced some really strange stuff.
Tell me more.
I will. So way back in 1896, 22-year-old Pearl Bryan, she was from Indiana, and she was working in Fort Thomas, Kentucky as a Sunday school teacher. She was secretly dating Scott Jackson, a young man that was in dental school.
Not Scott Jackson.
It was Scott Jackson. And one day she told her parents that she was going to go and meet some friends in Ohio, but really she was going to meet Scott Jackson because Pearl found out that she was pregnant. And that was the last time her parents saw her alive. On February 1st, 1896, a 17-year-old that was working on a farm stumbled on a headless body. The coroner concluded that this woman, this is horrific, this woman was decapitated while she was still alive. And the only way that they could identify her was the tag of her custom-made shoes, and they identified the body as Pearl Bryan.
Okay.
Pearl's body was buried headless at her family's plot in Green Castle. Scott Jackson was arrested not long after, and he implicated his friend Alonzo Whaling. Both were dental students, and one of which, was the man that Pearl had been seeing, and both were arrested for Pearl's murder.
Okay.
As to why the murder occurred, I've seen that it was possibly to force an abortion, because the men claim that she had like a botched abortion and that's what killed her, but not having a head in a botched abortion does not really line up. And I've also seen that they either wanted Pearl's head or the fetus for a satanic ritual or sacrifice. Either way the story goes, that they were all out with pregnant Pearl, and the guys somehow slipped cocaine into her drink, and they proceeded to behead her while still alive and pregnant, which is horrific.
Jesus Christ.
And when these two a-holes were asked, like, where is Pearl's head? Because, her family obviously would like to inter her whole.
Mm-hmm.
Their stories kept changing. They were like, oh, the Ohio River. Oh, no, it's in Kentucky, and canals. And they would just say all these different stories. And the officials would go and drain these and find nothing. Her head has never been found. And it's been theorized that it was either incinerated at the dental school in the furnace, or that her head was tossed down that drain, pit, well, or portal to hell after they performed some sort of satanic ritual.
Right.
So both men were convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to be hanged. They were actually the last to be hanged in Newport. Fun fact. Right after their hanging, the gallows were removed. So the day came, they both had the nooses placed around their necks, and they were dropped. Both survived the drop and was slowly strangled to death by the rope instead of just having their neck snap, suffering while being strangled until they both died.
Well, I mean, that's good, because that other one that they killed suffered. Obviously, she was still alive and they're beheading her. Like, fuck.
Yeah, I don't feel bad that these shitbags suffered. But it said, as they were dying, they said that they were going to haunt the site. Pearl, this young, pregnant, decapitated woman who met an untimely death, is said to be one of the spirits who haunt Bobby Mackey's music world. In the 1920s, the property became a prohibition speakeasy.
That's awesome.
Right? It was a speakeasy for a while, and then up until the 1930s, and then a nightclub was opened on the land. The nightclub was called the Primrose Club, and it was very profitable. So this brought the attention of supposed, alleged, organized crime figures who wanted to get in on it, and somehow they took it over.
1930s gangsters.
See here.
Yeah.
So there were also stories about mob killings happening there, allegedly.
Allegedly.
And when they took it over, they renamed the club the Latin Quarter Nightclub.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. So a dancer at the club named Johanna fell in love with a singer named Robert Randall, and her father did not approve. And the story goes that her father... Oh, she was also pregnant by him.
Oh, did the father know?
I'm not sure. I just know he might not have approved of the pregnancy and the relationship, or just the relationship. But the story goes that her father killed, or had Randall killed, possibly at the club.
Oh, shit.
Johanna was grief and anger stricken. She tried to kill her father, and she took her own life by poisoning.
Oof.
I've seen that. See, there's some conflicting articles on these, but her father survived and she did not. But her spirit is said to haunt the premises looking for Randall.
Her lost love.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
The club was closed down or shut down in the 1950s, and then it reopened as the Hard Rock.
Cafe?
I don't think... It just said Hard Rock, so I'm assuming there's no affiliation. But Hard Rock Cafe is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I just went to the one in Foxwoods not too long ago, actually.
Well, that's awesome.
Staff and visitors report strange noises, objects moving on their own, apparitions, and then that closed in the 70s. In 1978, Bobby Mackey, a country singer, and he's actually a pretty good singer. I just listened to a few of his songs, and he's got it going on.
Oh, nice. Pretty dank.
So he was doing pretty well. He was going around, different bars, performing, getting a good fan base, and he decided he wanted to open up his own spot where he could perform every night instead of, going on other bars.
Makes sense.
It said he knew the lore around the building and the strange happenings, but he was like, meh. He wasn't really believing any of it.
Just shrug this off, whatever.
Yeah.
Meh.
So Bobby Mackey ended up buying the building, and he opened up Bobby Mackey's Music World, a honky-tonk bar.
Honky tonk. Hell yeah.
Not long after he purchased the property, his wife was there upstairs. So she was upstairs at the apartment that was above the building, and she heard a voice say, "Get out." And then at the top of the stairs, she was pushed. And she later identified the person that pushed her through like an old newspaper article.
Is she okay?
Yeah, she was fine, thankfully, but she will not go
Oh,
back to
okay.
the bar. She wants like no part of it. She was like, "I am so good." But do you know those men that decapitated that woman?
Mm-hmm.
She identified the man as Alonzo Whaling, the one that took part in Pearl's decapitation and murder, as the man that pushed her down the stairs.
Oh, shit. It's crazy.
Bobby met this man, Carl Lawson, who was familiar with the property, its history, and Carl asked if he could work there. And I mean, why not? He already knows the building. So Bobby Mackey was like, sure. Carl eventually moved in and began his job as a caretaker.
Carl the caretaker.
It didn't take long for strange things to start to happen. Staff, performers, visitors started reporting hearing voices when nobody was there. They'd have technology issues, audio, visual, temperature changes, cold spots. There was reports of objects being thrown, like one man was in the bathroom and a trash can was just chucked across the room. Nobody else was in there with him.
Probably because he's fucking trash.
Others reported seeing apparitions of a female thought to be Johanna. Others report seeing a headless female that appears pregnant, thought to be Pearl.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say.
The weirdest thing to me, more than the apparitions, is that they have a jukebox there at the bar, and it was said to play when it was unplugged and play a song that wasn't even in the jukebox. It was called the Anniversary Waltz.
Oh, shit.
Isn't that nuts that goes to like picking songs?
Well, I mean, they figure, probably get different fucking sensations or something. I don't know.
They're all jamming out and nobody
Maybe
can see 'em.
they like certain songs. Like, oh, I remember this song and play it on.
Bobby Mackey didn't want what was happening at the club to be known. I'm not really sure if he believed it or not, but he just didn't want it to get out because he thought it would hurt the business.
Well, yeah, it'd be bad for business, obviously. It's like, hey, I don't want to go to that haunted fucking bar, Some chick got thrown down the stairs and, there's headless people, etc. Well, maybe it might draw some people to go have a drink or something. Fight a ghost.
I think he would draw everybody.
Pay $100 to fight a ghost. Yeah.
And he had a mechanical bull. Who wouldn't want to go to a
Fuck.
haunted bar with a mechanical bull? Like, come on.
Hell yeah.
So at some point, Carl was also said to have found Johanna's diary, the pregnant singer that took her own life after her father killed her man.
Mm-hmm.
And he also found the pit or the portal to hell that was covered up, this 14-foot well that I mentioned that emptied into the Lincoln River.
Right.
He also found inside of there a piece of skull.
Hmm.
The well was eventually filled in. What's super weird, this is what took me a minute because I was watching the Ghost Adventures episode after I finished my notes to see if I missed anything huge. But right next to where the well is, they have a staircase that goes up, but to nowhere and just hits a ceiling. Like one goes to heaven and one goes to hell. It's really creepy how they set it up.
Crazy.
So Carl, who had that history of the building even before Bobby Mackey purchased it, had this sort of attachment to the building that got worse over time. Like he was a conduit or something. He would be scratched, attacked. He would hear demonic voices. At times, he would lose control of his body. And he claimed that the demons in the basement were possessing him. Eventually, he did end up receiving an exorcism.
Fuck. That bad, huh?
Yeah.
Shit.
Now the 2000s, people learned about the club's paranormal side. And he even put up a sign when you go in to the bar. It said, quote, "Warning to our patrons, this establishment is purported to be haunted. Management is not responsible and cannot be held liable for any actions of any ghost/spirits on this premises."
That's pretty cool.
It was featured on Ghost Adventures, BuzzFeed Unsolved, and investigated by many more paranormal enthusiasts. EVPs have been caught, and people report having this heaviness, seeing a lot of shadow figures. That's probably the most reported. And the basement, aka the well that goes to hell, Hell's Gate, being the most investigated.
Right.
So the previously hush-hush about the paranormal, Bobby Mackey seemed to embrace it now, allowing ghost tours, profiting off of it. The people that went there would see shadow figures, they'd report being touched, hearing children laughing. And it gained the title of the most haunted bar in America.
So now tons of people are going.
Some of the events are documented, while many are not. So they could have been stories that were made up or legends that just started over the years.
Kind of like telephoned down over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, what kind of records are they going to keep in the 1800s anyways?
Oh, yeah.
Around 2020, the building was having some big structural issues, damage, flooding, and Bobby Mackey was planning on having it repaired. But after 46 years in business, the repairs that Bobby Mackey's needed were too expensive to salvage the location. And the 100-year-old building was demolished in 2024, December of 2024. And they temporarily relocated Bobby Mackey's Music World to Florence, Kentucky. And it said online that they plan to rebuild the original site in 2026. I can't find if they have or are still going to. But a lot do wonder if the activity will continue at that temporary spot where they moved to.
Would it be some of the old structure and shit?
It would be a brand new location they just moved to. I don't know if they brought any of the furniture, but the structure itself they just demolished.
Yeah. But like if they use any bring any pieces of that with them to rebuild or anything, I guess it's going to be fucking, some of that would follow, I would assume.
Yeah, or, I mean, the building may be gone, but the land itself may be what's haunted, like where the blood went through, because there were a lot of this is like just speculation or stories that were passed. So they do say that there were a lot of satanic rituals done in the basement where the blood went anyways from the cows and the whatever else they were slaughtering there.
So everything just coagulated together, cow blood, people blood.
Yeah, just having a lot of bad things happen over the year. I believe it can change the energy of a property.
I would say so, yeah. Hell yeah.
But yeah, that's it. It's not that long. It's just a little haunting.
No, it was good. I liked it. You did a really good job, like always. This is why your podcast is better than mine.
You're so stupid. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks for having me on, buddy.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you so much, Chris, for coming on. Till next time. Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you need more content or just want to help support the podcast, head on over to patreon.com and search Ouch, Was That a Ghost? If you need some snazzy merch, you can find it at crowdmade.com by searching Ouch, Was That a Ghost? If you have a story you'd like to share, you can email it to ouchwasthataghost@yahoo.com. You can also find us on Facebook and all the other social media platforms under Ouch, Was That a Ghost?
Help me.
All links can also be found on ouchwasthataghost.com.